Notre Dame football star Manti Te'o at the center of a big hoax? Or is he behind the hoax, or is he the victim of it? Tonight, a teammate calling him a liar and a very good actor. The Notre Dame player spoke with sports reporter Jackie Pepper of PepperOnSports.com. She joins us with the latest and the other latest facts in this developing story. And Jackie, before we get to your conversations with teammates of him, I'm curious, set the stage. What are the facts as we know it tonight?
Well, the facts are so convoluted. It's such a long, deep rabbit hole where this story comes from. So the quick version is that here you have Manti Te'o, star linebacker Notre Dame, goes on to come in second place in Heisman Trophy ballots. He had this girlfriend who he allegedly met a few years ago. She allegedly was diagnosed with leukemia, and he kind of rode this wave of this tragic love story that happened to coincide on the same day as his grandmother died. Allegedly, this fictitious girlfriend also passed away. The media jumped all over this. He was crying on the sideline of a big upset win over Michigan State back in September. Michigan State was ranked 10th at the time, and the story took off from there. And then, as you know, Notre Dame went on to play against Alabama for the BCS championship. So the story had a life of its own, and now, as Deadspin has revealed in a pretty fantastic expose, this woman never existed. She never went to Stanford. She never graduated from there. She didn't live where she said she lived. She is not a real person. She's a made-up character in this whole fairy tale. Okay, you've spoken to some of his colleagues, teammates. What are they saying tonight? Well, one of the teammates I spoke with said that he knew something was fishy right after that Michigan State game. He said that it was just too big of a coincidence that here you have the grandmother and this fictitious girlfriend both passing away on the same day. It was like you couldn't write it any better. It was that kind of situation. And he said that the players talked amongst themselves and they questioned the validity of the story. But he said that nobody confronted Te'o, which is pretty interesting. But he was the team leader. He was the face of the program, a senior. So I can imagine that would be a difficult thing to do. But he said that although he says Manti lied, he said that he thinks he did it because the media grabbed on to this lie. And then he felt like he had to probably keep going with it. But the interesting thing, which Deadspin revealed in their article, they found the person behind this fictitious account. And this young man is apparently a friend of Manti Te'o's. And he allegedly has a history of using this phony cover on social media to talk with different people, including other athletes. So we're seeing that there's a huge conspiracy here. And now the question is, how deep was Manti involved, and did he know about it? This player seems to think he was originally duped by this fake online account, but that he figured it out at some point and then couldn't get out of the lie, so just kept going with it for the attention. Is Manti well liked among his teammates? I mean, some teammates are heroes to the other teammates. Of course, he came in second in the Heisman, a very successful athlete. Or is he one that they don't particularly care for? In the last few months, I've talked to several Notre Dame players, and I asked a number of them about Manti's character. And I asked, is the image we're seeing, is that real? Because, Greta, you know, as a journalist, as a reporter, a lot of what you see is not really what you get. There are a lot of PR machines and spin, and it's easy to kind of play a role when you're in the public eye. So I asked them, and I was told he was the real deal, that he was a stand-up guy. So people are complex. I guess you can be both. You can get yourself deep into something that maybe you don't know how to get out of and still be a good person at your core. But there is a lot left to learn about this situation. It's going to be a pretty incredible story, I think. Is there any actual proof to tie him into the hoax as being one of the architects and not being duped by the hoax? Architect is an interesting word. In the Deadspin piece, they lay out this massive timeline which shows many, many contradictions from Manti himself. Here's really the most interesting thing, I think, about this. His own father was on the record in various publications saying, this is when my son met this girl. She came to Hawaii several times while our son was home to spend time with him. We were supposed to meet this girl. So was the father in on this? Was he just going along with what his son had told him? It's very hard to know. But if you look at the timeline of things, it is clear that at some point, Manti Te'o, he contradicted himself all over the place. So he either was in on it from the beginning or he, at some point in the process, learned what was going on, but kept going and kept perpetuating the lie.
I think one of the incidents they talk about, one of the articles, December 6th, I think, is when he said that he became aware of the hoax. And I think then on December 8th, he was perpetrating it by talking about it again, about his dead girlfriend 2 days later.
Yep, I saw that as well, and that's just one of the... Here's the problem. When you tell one lie, people will bash your credibility. He had said from the very beginning, which this teammate also told me, quote, we knew he had met her once. So he said that he met this woman in person after a football game in 2009 at Stanford University. That was a lie, even based on Notre Dame's statement and the statement that Manti Te'o put out saying this was strictly an online relationship. So just that one lie really hurts his credibility, even though a lot of people date on the internet and they don't even tell their own families about it. I think a lot of people are still embarrassed, but just the one lie from the beginning, I think, could really hurt him, assuming he wasn't in on it from the beginning. It's going to be very hard, I find, for him to be believable unless he gives us some type of real legitimate proof.
Jackie, thank you.
You're welcome.